Greetings, I hope you have had a fantastic day. Welcome to TV47 Weekend, to topics just for you. Tonight, Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki issues a directive stating that all planned protests by Azimio must take place within a 12-hour daytime period.
Haiwezekani ati mtu akiwa pale nje ndio anatoa pesa ya kuenda kulipa vijana kuvuruga serikali.
Also tonight, 2 people, among them a Kenya police reservist, killed by suspected bandits in Laikipia West.
Nao vijana wetu wa NPR ambao tulipewa na serikali walikambiliana na hao, na kwa bahati mbaya mmoja wao ambaye anaitwa Steven Kibushi alipigwa risasi ya kichwa na ya tumbo.
Plus, despite historical challenges, education in Wajir County has been going through transformation as learners now implement the use of technology in school.
Where all the subject areas and the learning areas are digitalized. The content are put in a tablets and a digital platform.
Tonight, on a special piece, we shine a spotlight on that. And PM East African time on the 16th day of July. Once again, welcome to TV47 Weekend. Roda Nyama is on the sign language docket. I'm yours truly, Stanley Nyirungita. Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki has asked opposition leader Raila Odinga to respect President William Ruto as he was elected and is currently the head of state. Kithure said this while in Tharaka Nithi County as he warned the opposition over the planned demos that Raila said will be held on Wednesday, Thursday and Friday. Chichi Josephine begins us off tonight.
Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki has lashed out at the opposition for what he said was failing to respect the current government as he warned them over the planned weekly mass protests.
I accept on Wednesday we did not do very well as law enforcement agencies. I promise that this week and going forward, the country is ready to deal with the dangerous criminals in our midst who are terrorizing millions of Kenyans and have made millions of the people of Kenya to be subdued in fear.
The tough-talking Kindiki dared the opposition and branded them criminals, hiding behind the constitution, noting that on their Wednesday demonstrations, many shops were looted, buildings burnt and government property destroyed in the pretext of freedom of association.
What we have are criminals citing some parts of the constitution, ignoring other parts of the constitution. The same constitution that allows you to protest is the same constitution that protects the right to life, right to property, and the right of other persons.
The CS then issued a directive stating that all planned protests for Wednesday, July 19th must take place within a 12-hour daytime period.
It is up to you. I will not tell you to stop. It's up to you to decide. But if you get persuaded to proceed with what we saw last week, you will have a day like no other.
He emphasized that individuals, including Azimio supporters and other dissatisfied Kenyans, were allowed to express their grievances through peaceful demonstrations, but within the confines of a dusk to dawn curfew.
Hatujapiga marufuku mikutano ya siasa. Mtu asimame aseme mimi niko hivi, mimi na wafanyia hivi, ikifika saa 12 kila mtu aende nyumbani.
Kindiki clarified that his directive was based on the Public Order Act and his ministry would ensure its enforcement.
Kulingana na kifungo ya 56 ya sheria ya Kenya, ikifika saa 12 mikutano ya siasa isha, kila mtu aende nyumbani.
The CS cautioned that his agreement with the opposition to hold a rally should not be misunderstood as permission to incite chaos or harm the economy, as he also criticized retired politicians, urging them to let their successors carry out their responsibilities.
The retired senior state officers must live like retired senior state officers, and they must respect the law of our country and respect the current holders of office. So wasituone kama sisi ni wajinga. Haiwezekani ati mtu akiwa pale nje ndio anatoa pesa ya kuenda kulipa vijana kuvuruga serikali.
Kithure was speaking at Kanwa Catholic Church in Chuka in Tharaka Nithi County on Sunday during a church service. Chichi Josephine, TV47.
Thank you, Chichi, for that. Now let's take a look at the political side of this. Demos. Half of the coming week could be a demonstration-filled week following the lack of an amicable solution between Azimio Coalition and Kenya Kwanza. President William Ruto has come out guns blazing, dismissing any possibility of mass protests, as Flora Lemuki now tells us.
A standoff has ensued between Kenya Kwanza leaders and Azimio leaders following the planned demonstrations on Wednesday, Thursday and Friday. Azimio leaders have castigated Kenya Kwanza allied leaders for threatening to stop the demonstrations, saying it is a constitutional right for Kenyans to picket.
We are aware that the people you sent are the ones who commit crime and cause police to kill innocent Kenyans.
Sisi tutaendelea na maandamano. Nataka kuambia rais, umechakuliwa utumie wananchi, lakini hakuchakuliwa unjipiki kifua. Kwa hivyo hiyo maneno tunaona na viongozi wakisema ati wengine wakitweet ati watu watakufa. Nataka kuambia Moses Kuria, utaoa ngapi kwa hii nchi?
The recent demonstrations have been marred by chaos and destruction of public property, with Kenya Kwanza leaders now attributing this to the global economic turmoil, calling on the Azimio counterparts to seek alternative means to solve the dispute.
We sat down as the Kenya Kwanza leadership yesterday, and we agreed in one voice that on Wednesday will be the last day when Azimio and Raila Odinga and his team will do demonstration in the Republic of Kenya.
Achilia serikali ifanye kazi yake. 2027 wewe jipange. Hata kama uko 87 years, ingia kwa debe tena. Ushindwe tena na sasa uende nyumbani Bondo, uache sisi tuendelee na kazi yetu.
The push and pull between the opposition and ruling government continues to intensify following the collapse by party.
And Kenyans have expressed their concerns regarding the Azimio la Umoja 3 days protests scheduled for next week in what the opposition terms as a bid to push the government towards lowering food prices as well as the cost of living across the country. While some have shown support towards the opposition's tactics, others, including small business operators, now want the protests halted, fearing for the collapse of business enterprises, which may lead to a further cash crunch. Our reporter Arnold Aditi spoke to residents of Chavakali town in Vihiga County and prepared this report.
As the opposition wing vows to intensify countrywide protests over the government's taxation policies, Kenyans have continued to express mixed reactions on the matter. Small business operators fearing for losses which they say could make the present times much harder.
Sisi vijana wa bodaboda tunafanya kazi kwa kubeba watu, lakini siku hizi hatuoni mtu hata mmoja ambaye tunaweza beba. So tunaadhirika, kwa wengine tuko na pikipiki ambazo ni za watu, credit inafaa tulipe. So unapata ile kipato ambacho tulikuwa tunapata kwa kila siku, hiyo maandamano ikifanyika haipatikani. Na jinsi vile anasema maandamano inaanza next week kwa siku 3, sisi hatukubaliani nayo kwa sababu atakuwa ametuumiza sana kwa Wakenya wakini ambao tunatafuta kilo moja ya kila siku.
Tumetegemea hii soko ndio upate at least kitu ya kukula. Na maandamano ikikuwa hauwezi uza hata kitu kwa sababu hakuna mtu utauzia, watu hawakuji. Watu wanahangaika huku na kule. Alafu hii maandamano pia inaharibu watoto wa shule. Watoto wa watu wanakufa bure bila sababu. Kwa sababu polisi anapotumwa mahali, yeye hataki kujua huyu ni mwanafunzi na huyu ni mwenye anaandamana.
Bila mimi kutoka, hawa watoto wenye wananifuata nyuma hawezi enda shule. Karo kupata ni ngumu, kila kitu ni ngumu, chakula ni ngumu. Sasa watu waache maandamano, tufanye biashara yetu tuweze kupata cha kukula. Usafiri ndo inafanya si wenye tunauza vitu tunapata pesa.
However, a section of the public maintains that the protest should be held, indicating that the government has failed to manage fuel and food prices. They say the protest should be led in a peaceful way.
Wacha mzee afanye kazi yake, tuone kama serikali inaweza legeza kamba kidogo kuhusu bei ya mafuta na bidhaa kadhalika. Lakini mimi kuwa tayari siko tayari. Kama mzee ako willing aninunulie unga, aninunulie mafuta, anifanyie budget, niko tayari kumuunga mkono.
Kweli anapambania Wakenya wenye wako chini. Juu kila saa hii bei ya kitu imepanda juu. Na venye imepanda juu lazima kuna Wakenya wenye wanaumia kwa kiwango cha juu. Kwa Wakenya wanaumia kwa kiwango cha juu, lazima wale wataandamana.
Scholars have also expressed the need for an urgent and meaningful dialogue, calling on the government and opposition leaders to chart a way forward which will see the nation recover economically.
Hata kutoka na chakula ya mtoto kukula siku moja ni ngumu. Na hawa watu wawili, Raila na Ruto, wakae chini wasikilizane. Hawa kama hawataki wadoke. Wakitoka tutajakuwa mwingine aendelee. Kwa sababu watoto wanakufa wenye hawana hatia.
Hao tu ndio wako na suluhisho. Hao wawili, Ruto na Raila. Hao tu ndio wameshika nchi ya Kenya mkononi. Na hao tu ndio wataiwasha, hao tu ndio wataizima. Kwa hivyo waachane na hii vitu wanafanya. Sisi tuendelee kuburuta kurutumu la Kenya.
While the opposition plans to intensify protests within the week, the government has vowed to quell the move. So far, more than 10 deaths have been reported from Wednesday's protests, some accusing the police of applying excessive force against demonstrators. Arnold Adidi, TV47.
Right now, let's head to the northern part of Kenya, and the activities of gun-toting bandits continue to pose a threat as more lives are lost and numerous individuals sustain injuries. The most recent incident occurred in Laikipia, where suspected bandits claimed the lives of 2 people, including a Kenya police reservist in Laikipia West. Mwige William provides us with the details surrounding the tragic event.
Though reports on bandit attacks have been de-escalating in the recent days, still bandits continue with their outlawed activities, and other than getting away with livestock, they have continued with their killing spree. In Laikipia West, the first incident saw a police reservist, Stephen Kibushi, aged 44, killed at Laikipia Nature Conservancy, Catline near Security Road, Kiambogo Village in Githiga Ward. In the second incident, suspected bandits also attacked a shop and killed a 43-year-old man at Karaba Village in Marmanet Ward, and 3 members of the public left with injuries but have since been treated and discharged at Nyahururu Hospital. Stephen Kibushi, a member of NPR, was shot dead when a group of attackers engaged the reservist in a shootout at the border of Kongoni Village and Laikipia Nature Conservancy. The deceased was in a group of reservists who had been mobilized because the Laikipia West Member of Parliament Wajir Karani was touring the village.
Mwendo wa saa 10 jioni, wakora ambao walikuwa wamejihami na mabuduki walikuja kujaribu kuimba ng'ombe hapa katikati ya mpaka wetu ya area hii ya Kongoni na Laikipia Conservancy. Nao vijana wetu wa NPR ambao tulipewa na serikali walikabiliana na hao.
In a separate incident, a 31-year-old businessman Maina Wambugu was shot dead when armed persons stormed his shop at Karaba Trading Center. The gang stole money and goods in the shop before disappearing using a getaway motorcycle.
Wakati tunapoongea hapa, tunaongea na uchungu kwa sababu tayari kuna ndugu yetu mwingine ambaye anaitwa Maina ameuawa hapa Karafa na hawa majangili majangili ambao wanaibia watu.
Laikipia Senator John Kenywa has urged the government to establish a compensation program to cushion families whose loved ones are killed in the many raids committed by armed attackers. The lawmaker also asked the government to equip the National Police Reservists with drones and binoculars so that they can be scanning the Laikipia Nature Conservancy.
Askari wetu wote wa NPR wakuwe wakipewa fidia, si hii NHIF peke yake. Tunataka mtu akifumaniwa katika hali hii mbaya na apoteze maisha yake kwa sababu ako na familia iko hapa.
Laikipia leaders and residents have also called on the Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki to visit the area and address the killings in the county that have left many young women, widows and children without breadwinners. Mwige William, TV47.
And meanwhile, Education Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Machogu says the government will from this week pay dues owed to the Kenya National Examination Council examiners of the 2022 exams. Speaking in Embu County, the CA said 2 billion shillings had been set aside to ensure all outstanding dues were paid to NEC examiners, contracted officials and suppliers. Our education reporter Adrian Clemmy with that report.
Yes, 2022 NEC examiners could soon be smiling all the way to the bank as the government now plans to pay their dues starting this week. Education Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Machogu, speaking in Embu County, said the delay was occasioned by a cash crunch at the council that forced it to maintain the pending bill for over 6 months from the time the exercise was completed.
Walimu wetu ambaye ndio tunatumia kuwa examiners katika mitihani yetu ya kitaifa, najua tulichelewa kidogo kulipa pesa yao. Wale walitusaidia marking the 2022 national exams, lakini sasa kupitia kwa Mheshimiwa Rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya tumepewa bilioni 2 kutoka wiki nyingine, mimi nitawalipa wote.
Machogu further assured the examiners that going forward, his ministry would prioritize prompt payment to ensure no such delays are experienced.
Na vile kwenda mbele, hiyo nitaweka priority, mazingira yao itakuwa sawa, na vile malipo yao itakuja wakati ambaye inafaa.
He at the same time said the ministry will be employing 25,000 teachers this financial year, in addition to the 30,000 teachers employed last year, in a bid to reduce the student-to-teacher ratio.
Also, for the very first time in many years, been able to employ 36,000 teachers last financial year. This year alone, the government is going to employ 24,000 teachers, a number that we have not had for many years. This is because His Excellency the President is able to recognize and appreciate that yes, we have to have enough teachers in our schools so that proper quality teaching can be able to go on.
He rooted for a return of ranking of schools in national examinations, saying it will bring back the spirit of competition, which was good for learners. Andrin Kilemi, TV47.
And a section of foresters in the country has supported the remarks by President William Ruto to lift the logging ban earlier this month. The ban has been operational since 2018, but the foresters say it is the right time for the ban to be lifted so as to boost the economy of the country.
Earlier this month, President William Ruto lifted the logging ban. And since then, Kenyans have expressed their mixed reactions regarding what they term as a threat to climate change. In his recent remarks, Samuel Mureithi, a forester and an environmental activist, has lauded the lift by President William Ruto, is saying that the ban did not follow legal procedures for it to be implemented.
The ban ought not to have been there at the first place, because those trees are well planted in the law, the forest law. Plantations they are recognized, they are put in a management plan, so the ban ought to have come in place first, because it's going to compromise what we call the distribution of age classes of trees, besides the wasting of trees. So it has come in the right time.
Samuel has further acknowledged that the lift will serve as a major boost to the employment sector in the country, because many people lost their jobs following the ban by the previous regime. To ensure the lift bears fruit, Samuel has encouraged Kenyans to embrace the government's plan of planting 15 billion trees by the end of 2032 so as to create a balance in the forest cover of the country.
Why should we use the scarce foreign exchange reserves to import timber from Tanzania? Why should we deny our people here in Kenya jobs? And then lorries and the lorries of timber are coming through Namanga, where the sowing processing is done in the other side. I think we should be fair to Kenyans, that Kenyans enjoy welfare, benefits from forestry without compromising, and I emphasize, the integrity of the ecosystem where trees are planted and without having adverse environmental impacts. And the ones which lies there are well taken care of.
So far, more than 39 counties have achieved the requirement of having at least a 10% forest cover, with the Nyeri County leading with 45% and Machakos County with the lowest point at 6%. Jackson Chacha, TV47.
And speaking of matters environment, President William Ruto has called upon the African countries to unite and tackle effects of climate change together. Speaking Sunday during the 5th Africa Union Media Coordination Meeting at the UN headquarters in Nairobi, Ruto has further welcomed the countries to the Africa Climate Week, which will be held in September 4th to the 6th this year. COP27, the fifth COP to be held in the African continent last year November, is said to have yielded little or no fruits despite Africa bearing the greatest brunt of climate change due to emissions from richer countries who are responsible for 96% of greenhouse gas emissions. Months later, African countries are still hopeful they can change the narrative of decarbonization. And as the clock ticks for the first ever Africa Climate Summit under the Africa Union from the 4th to the 6th of September this year, African countries are hopeful that this will form a platform to advocate for global alignment for green growth agenda.
The summit, coming after the Paris summit where greater clarity emerged, will be a critical opportunity for us to accelerate global energy transition and deliver African solutions to the COP28 in Dubai, the United Arab Emirates.
Speaking during the 5th Africa Union Media Coordination Meeting at the UN headquarters in Nairobi, President William Ruto has advised his fellow African leaders not to depend on funding from the Western countries.
Africa, apart from having the greatest stock of renewable energy, we have other assets, minerals, that we have the largest reserves globally that can be used for green energy development.
With Dubai expected to play host to the COP28 November this year, talks on climate financing are set to form center stage. Now, on a sad note, 2 children have died in a fire incident at Ruguru Nganduri ward in Embu County after their wooden house caught fire and was razed on Saturday night. The 2 children, aged between 2 and 4 years old, are said to have been home alone when the incident occurred. The police have commenced investigations into the incident to establish the cause of the fire.
According to those who witnessed the incident, there were 3 children in the house when the fire erupted, but only one of them, who is 8 years old, was successfully rescued and rushed to Embu Level 5 Hospital for medical attention.
Mimi nilikuwa napika, nikasikia watu wanapiga kelele. Nikasikia mlio wa pikipiki. Mimi nikatokezea spindi, nikaacha chakula kwa moto. Mimi nikakimbia. Hiyo moto ilikuwa imeshika nyumba ya kwanza, alafu ikaanza kushika hiyo ingine yote la ya kwanza. Sisi tukachukua mandoo na nini na maji, tukaomba kwa neighbor, tukaanza kumwaga huyo maji na mpira tukachukua huko kwa Ndogo petrol station.
A police report has revealed that the miners were alone when the incident occurred, and an investigation has been launched into the cause of the fire. Angry residents have urged the county government to streamline the firefighters' response time, claiming that no lives would have been lost should they have been there on time.
Kasirika sana. Kama hiyo gari ilikuwa town Embu, ni dakika ngapi kufika hapa? Dakika kama 10 ama 5. Sisi wamekuta tumesima hiyo moto yote kabisa, na ndio wamekuja tukiwa tumeshima na imesimika. Sasa wanakuja kusima hiyo moto. Sisi tukaambia hakuna haja ya kusima hiyo moto sababu tumesima.
Moto sasa imekuwa ina happen kila wakati. Tulikuwa Geriare juzi na the same janga la moto, si ndio? Juzi pia kulikuwa na issue pale Majengo. Itabidi sasa kukue na gari upande moja na gari ingine upande ile ingine, ikiwa na maji na mafuta na ikiwa inafanya.
Zainab Mohammed, TV47.
May the souls rest in eternal peace. Now, in the latest reaction by the Azimio la Umoja Brigade over the alleged brutal killings of demonstrating Kenyans by the police, Wiper Democratic Movement leader Kalonzo Musyoka has threatened to pursue justice for the families of the bereaved through the International Criminal Court, that is ICC. Azimio la Umoja, which has been at loggerheads with the Kenya Kwanza government about the term as deceitful and oppressive governance, has been touring various hospitals in the country where victims of gunshot wounds were admitted as a show of solidarity. Dennis Otieno with the story.
Barely a week after the Azimio la Umoja coalition's mass demonstrations ended in chaos and saw scores injured while others lost their lives, Wiper Democratic Movement leader Kalonzo Musyoka has hinted that the coalition is mulling on appropriate ways to seek justice for the families of the bereaved. One of the ways being instituting a criminal case against the Inspector General of Police, Japheth Koome, at the International Criminal Court, ICC.
I just want to remind the Inspector General of Kenya Police and actually change the name from Police Force to National Police Service. That under the ICC and Kenya, regardless of all the noise walikuwa wamepiga wengine nasema tutoke kwa ICC, wakaenda wakashuisha African Union, tutoke en masse from ICC, nobody pulled out of the International Criminal Court. Because the story does not end here.
With the coalition saying that the police inflicted excessive force during the demonstrations to disperse swelling crowds and in the process killing innocent protesters using live bullets, Kalonzo says the Inspector General should be held accountable for the actions of the police at the ICC, which holds individuals bearing highest responsibilities over institutions.
Hapa mnaweza kuhujumu hali ya demokrasia, mnaweza kuhujumu vile vile hali ya delivery of justice, lakini there is a higher court which sits at The Hague, and the rules of engagement are very clear. The person or persons bearing the highest responsibility, yani yule mwenye mamlaka, ikiwa ni juu ya timu ya polisi ambao wanaua wananchi kwa kupiga risasi kama swara, yule ambaye ametoa hiyo amri ndiye atakuwa held responsible, and of course individual responsibility as well.
According to Kalonzo, the coalition has always been within the precincts of the constitution by holding peaceful demonstrations, which however turn into chaos whenever the police join in.
Maandamano hayako ndani ya katiba. I would not come and tell you tufanya maandamano. No. Because it is clear. The right to picket, the right to demonstrate, it is there. The only condition, ukifanya maandamano usibebe silaha. Sasa wenye kubeba silaha kwa maandamano imetambulikana wazi ni polisi, ambao nia yao si kufanya maandamano, nia yao ni kudhuru maandamano.
The Wiper Democratic Movement leader was speaking Sunday morning at Full Gospel Churches of Kenya, Mwingi, while attending a Sunday service, explained the journey they have come through and concessions they have made during talks with Kenya Kwanza to avert crisis.
Ni kwamba kuwe na sauti ya wananchi na watu kufanya mazungumzo na kuleta hali ya maridhiano na kuelewana juu ya kuendesha mipangilio ya nchi. Hiyo sasa iko katika hatari. Katika hatari hiyo, sisi wana Azimio la Umoja tukasema hilo ni swala la maana, lizungumziwe kuadhiri hali ya vyama in a democratic state.
Leaders accompanying Kalonzo vowed to continue demonstrations every 3 days of the week, including Wednesday, Thursday and Friday starting next week, to force the Kenya Kwanza government to address the plight of Kenyans choking under the high cost of living.
That government is unable or unwilling to do that which they should do, then they should vacate office, either willingly or we force them out of office.
Napika makelele because mwenye ako kule uongozini yule alichukua uongozi kwa njia zinjulikani, amefunga masikio. Tukiongea asikii, wananchi wakilia asikii.
Dennis Otieno, TV47.
And across the borders, Sudanese army representatives have returned to Jeddah in Saudi Arabia for talks with the paramilitary foes, a government source said on Saturday, as the war between rival generals entered its fourth month. The war between Army Chief Abdel Fattah al-Burhan and his former deputy RSF Commander Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo has claimed at least 3,000 lives and displaced more than 3 million people since it began on the 15th of April.
The war between Army Chief Abdel Fattah al-Burhan and his former deputy, RSF Commander Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo, has claimed at least 3,000 lives and displaced more than 3 million people since it began on April 15th. In light of this apparent divide that has led to the disunity in Sudan, the chairman of the AU, Moussa Faki Mahama, has called on Africa as a continent to look for homemade solutions. Moussa adding that in order to solve our individual and collective problems, we must first come together united.
We need to mobilize humanitarian aid and bring the Sudanese themselves in an inclusive dialogue in order to come up with a civilian government that will be able to implement an emergency economic, humanitarian and security program, and as soon as possible.
The RSF has made no comment on returning to the Jeddah talks, which Saudi and US mediators adjourned last month after a series of repeated violated ceasefires. This follows the delegation in Saudi Arabia signaling a returning to diplomatic efforts by the army after it boycotted talks in Addis Ababa last week. Ms. Amina Mohammed, Deputy Secretary of the UN, called on the creation of African solutions to African problems, cautioning Africa on our overdependence on outside nations.
It is this unity that we must draw from on the depths of Africa's turbulent history, but also our shared values and a sense of common purpose. Ultimately, Excellencies, it is Africa's very dignity that is at stake for us and future generations. In the words of late Kwame Nkrumah, who inspired Agenda 2063, I quote, "We in Africa, who are pressing now for unity, are deeply conscious of the validity of our purpose. We need the strength of our combined numbers to protect ourselves from the very real dangers of colonization returning in disguised forms."
Kamunya Mwangi, TV47.
And on that call of African unity, we take a short break. We'll be right back. Stick around.
You are watching TV47, the home of untold stories. Welcome to the Mwai Kibaki Convention Center, the premier events venue. Our state-of-the-art facilities are designed to meet all your needs, from large-scale conferences to intimate meetings and everything in between. Located in the heart of Thika, the Mwai Kibaki Convention Center offers stunning views of the city skyline and is easily accessible from all major transportation hubs. Our facility features ample parking, free Wi-Fi, advanced audiovisual equipment, and our technical team is always on hand to ensure your event runs smoothly and seamlessly. Don't take our word for it. Make your next event unforgettable at the Mwai Kibaki Convention Center. Contact us today for bookings and reservations. Email multimedia@mku.ac.ke or call us on 0708 212204 or 0727 441733 or 0721 438 629 to learn more about our services and book your event. Radio 47, tuko nawe mchana kutwa na usiku kucha. Or product and you are on a budget, then Marquee Africa is the site for you. To advertise, upload a picture or video clip of your business or product and let the clicks get you clients. Get 4,000 clicks for as low as 1,000 bob. Get the app on the Google Play Store or iOS App Store or visit the website www.marquee.africa. Terms and conditions apply. Watching TV47, the home of untold stories.
Right, some 33 minutes past the top of the hour. Thank you for sticking around. Now to a special piece tonight. Education in Wajir County has undergone significant changes in order to align with global trends and embrace digital learning, despite numerous challenges such as teacher shortages, inadequate infrastructure, and security concerns. To address these obstacles, Wajir Smart Learning, a community-based organization, introduced a digital learning concept to support schools in the region, moving away from traditional teaching methods. Our Wajir correspondent Hashim Jimal has visited several schools that have adopted this innovative approach and are now demonstrating its effectiveness.
One which we use on our hands, we have others on our tablets.
Young learners learn on computer tablets at Wajir Success Academy, a clear indication that their dreams of learning on computers is now being realized.
Want to go to the quarter pass. We are looking at what? A quarter pass.
This is Wajir Success, a private school in the area that has stood against all odds to be among the top most performing institution in Wajir. The digital learning is breaking the shackles of traditional learning methods that's now being put in practice by the school and pupils, and has now contributed to the development of the society.
My name is Alan Hamdan. I am one of the students in grade 7 at Wajir Success Integrated Academy. In our school, we have adequate learning materials, including special laboratory, computer, and science laboratory. We also learn our lessons through digital devices, including tablets and laptops. Learning through technology is very captivating and encouraging. Welcome to Wajir Success Integrated Academy. We strive for success. Feel at home. Thank you.
Wajir Smart Learning, a community-based organization, launched its first digital classroom learning in 2021 at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, providing some change in the education sector.
And we are going to start a new topic.
The revolutionary technology, which has become a game changer and significantly impacted the lives of students and teachers, has its own extensive library of resources to support the competency-based curriculum implementation. The tablets being used by students contain comprehensive content that has transformed the traditional methods of instructional delivery by teachers. This has resulted in a paradigm shift from relying solely on textbooks, which can be financially burdensome for some parents who are unable to purchase multiple textbooks for different subjects. Mr. Dalmas Adongo, the coordinator for Wajir Smart Learning and an instructor, acknowledges the challenges of teaching through traditional methods in the past. However, he expresses great excitement as both teachers and students now embrace the new technological approach.
Why this technology? This technology came when we were facing some major challenges during the COVID-19 pandemic. During this time, the COVID affected many sectors in the country, and education was one of the sector that was affected immensely. The children were at home and they were not able to get education, and therefore myself and some other facilitators, we were offering some radio lessons at the local radio station, and we were trying to reach out to the students. But during this time, the reaching out to all students was very difficult, and therefore our idea was impressed We Learn for Life, and they decided to donate for us a Molly kit. Before me here is a Molly kit, which is a library on its own. This library has got one hyperlink, which is known as the Musingi Pack. This Musingi Pack has got content for grade 1 up to grade 6, which is CBC compliance. It has made learning interactive, simple, and enjoyable. As you look at my learners, they are very jovial. They interact with the gadgets, and learning becomes fun to them. And also, helps the teachers to simplify their work.
The school proudly boasts the first junior secondary laboratory in the county. During our tour, we witnessed the students' unwavering determination to succeed as they practically demonstrated what they had learned through the digital platform.
This is a test tube. It is used to boil or store liquids. This is a measuring cylinder. It is used to measure liquids.
According to Mr. Sinino, the head teacher, both students and teachers utilized the gadgets for learning and research, resulting in improved performance. He also discussed the disparities between traditional teaching methods and digital learning, highlighting challenges such as network connectivity during instruction.
The challenges that we face with the digital and smart learning, number one, we have the issues with the network, so that sometimes we experience jamming of the gadgets, which is a problem. Sometimes you are carrying out an activity, but it does not go very well. In addition to, we have also a challenge over the resources. We have minimal resources, of which we need much more resources.
Hussein Khalil, one of the directors at Wajir Success Academy, emphasizes that digital learning has become the core of the entire educational system and has significantly enhanced students' self-esteem.
We are the first school in Wajir County to adapt and implement fully digital learning in the county, where all the subject areas and the learning areas are digitalized. The content are put in a tablets and a digital platform. Learners can interact. Teachers can deliver the lessons using the tablets. It has revolutionized the way teachers deliver instructions in the classroom. It has created paradigm shift from how we deliver our lessons. At a time, there is a new dispensation in the country about competence-based curriculum that places digital learning as the core of the entire system. So it came with a lot of successes. We have realized a lot of successes in fully adapting the digital learning. One of them is that it built the confidence, right, of the learners, and they have developed interest in learning and attaining education. That way it has reduced absenteeism, right, enhanced the self-esteem of the learners, right. It attracted more attachment to the school. It made more attachments, it created more attachment to the learners towards the school and the schooling as a whole. That was one of it. The other thing, it has reduced the burden of the parents in terms of purchasing and acquiring learning materials, both coursework and revision materials, including level readers, all right? Because all the materials they were to purchase from the bookshops and the market are now in the digital cloud where the learners can access. So there is no need for them to buy all those materials, right? So they can access the materials at any volume, right? At any time in that in the digital platform. So there's now less burden and pressure from the parents. We are the first school to implement, and actually we are now the host of this learning resource. It's a donation we received from We Learn, an organization. They donated to us, and later on we agreed that when they gave us, and because we were hosting, we were the center and the nerve that host the program, we decided now to lend it to other schools on request basis.
It is often said that technology alone can transform a teacher, but when combined with a great teacher, the impact is truly transformative. Since the introduction of such projects here in schools in Wajir County, the digital learning has taken roots across various sectors. Reporting for TV47 from Wajir County, I am Hashim Jimal.
Many thanks, Hashim Jamal, for that. Now to some international news. Rescue operations are underway in South Korea following floods and landslides triggered by heavy rains, leaving at least 26 people dead and several missing. South Korea is at the peak of its summer monsoon season, and there has been heavy rainfall for the last 4 days, causing a major dam to overflow, prompting the evacuation of thousands of residents living downstream. Meanwhile, tens of millions of people were battling dangerously high temperatures around the world on Sunday as record heat forecasts hung over parts of the United States, Europe and Asia. Scorching weather gripped 3 continents on Sunday, whipping up wildfires and threatening to topple temperature records as a dire consequence of global warming take shape. Predictions of historic heat hung over large parts of Asia, Europe and the USA, with Japan issuing heatstroke alerts to tens of millions of people in 20 of its 47 prefectures as near record high temperatures scorched large areas and torrential rain pummeled other regions.
Well, yeah, I feel like every time, we're visiting somewhere and there seems to be like a heat wave or like a rare weather disaster, it's kind of becoming the new normal, and I'm very concerned about that. And I think it's a big shame because this is a really beautiful city. We want to be out as much as possible, but with it being as hot as it is, I feel like we have to be really mindful of that and staying inside as much as we can. But definitely climate change is a big concern.
Yeah, just walking around is